Hey guys, this is Chauncey from Good Music to Know, and today I'm so pleased to welcome Lisa from Little Elements. She is a music producer, multi-instrumentalist, singer-songwriter, definitely a triple threat, and we are so happy to have her here today. So I was listening to Trippy Moon. I actually was introduced to your music a few weeks ago from my Spotify discovery, and I became a massive fan. And the thing about Trippy Moon is that it feels like this beautiful sonic landscape. So when I was listening to the album River, Ere, and then Chica del Viento, those are some of my favorites. Like I absolutely love those. And I realized a lot of the tracks, like the names of the tracks on the album, like they're after different nature elements. So I was wondering, are these tracks maybe representative of your spirituality, or did you choose these track names because of like personal experiences, or maybe like there's a story behind them?
I think it's a mixing between both. So first of all, it's the inspiration behind the titles is at one place like personal experiences and there's a story behind. But sure, how I choose the titles is also about that. Of course, I'm really connected with nature elements, and it's like I think this inspiration is a lot of flowing into my music. So I think it's a mixing of both. Yeah.
Very cool. And then, I mean, in my opinion, the entire album is like an orgasm. It's so amazing from start to finish. I think it does such an amazing job of like taking you on a journey. And you hear so many instruments. How are you playing all the instruments? How many instruments are there exactly? And there's so many. It's amazing.
So the bass is mostly the guitar. I think I have most of the songs, so it's also my main instrument, also where I feel safe to play. But then there are also instruments like bass and synthesizers I used for the first time a lot.
How was that, using the synths for the first time?
So I used it for the first time for really in the production. So it was a lot of fun because it gave me a lot of space to experiment. Maybe in the river there is a lot of synthesizers. And then there is the bass. Then there are some electronic produced drums. And also for the first time in this album, I have some tracks with like organic drums where I had some collaborations with drummers. Having more organic sound was really exciting also to experiment and play around. Yeah.
What was the creative process like going into making Trippy Moon? Because it seems a bit more upbeat.
Yeah.
Like the melodies compared to Fire.
Yeah. I mean, I always want that I grow with my music, and I wanted also to change a little bit. And like in my imagination was like, okay, how should all the story be packed in the end? And then in the end, I was like thinking, okay, it would be maybe nice for the vision board to have like, okay, starting in the late afternoon, like metaphorical, starting the late afternoon and then tripping through the whole night. But with yourself, with your mind, can be also like, okay, no matter which experience. So there's a lot of interpretation, room for interpretation. And the idea was behind like starting late afternoon, going through one night crazy with emotions and having like a trip, but not with, with drugs, but that was not the idea behind. But like just use the
feeling like, you get.
Yeah, having everything. And then what was also how I choose to that for the titles from the beginning till the end was like, okay, it starts, then it gets night, it gets dark, it gets melancholically, it's getting more heavy, and then okay, I want to go out again into the light. So then the sun rises, and so like I wanted to have this wave for the beginning to the end. And that's why also it was perfect that some tracks are more like upbeat, because it makes this crazy gap between like flying, being happy, but then like getting again like in a melancholic state and like super dramatic. Life is a wave. So
it reminded me a bit of when you go to like a nice festival outside and the sun is shining and you have like the peaks and flows, like, you know, like you mentioned, like the nighttime of the festival, you really get into it, and then the morning you come up with the sunrise, and it's a bit like you're thinking about the night before, but it's a bit more relaxed. But it was cool. But I thought it was also really, so I grew up next to Arizona, so very close to Mexico.
Nice.
I thought it was super cool that you used, well, not this, probably not the same, but that you still incorporated like Spanish elements in your tracks. I think there were 3 of them. It was Un Café. I always want to say Niña, but it's Chica del Viento, and then is it R? Yeah. What inspired you to add those Spanish elements in?
First of all, I really like the Spanish language. I don't speak Spanish that good. I would like to learn more. But I'm also really inspired by Latino American music. And yeah, I like to mix like English and Spanish with the words I
English.
speak.
English. Very cool. Yeah, I thought it was beautiful. Un Café as well. It was like one of my favorites. Another cool thing I realized about your music is that you're able to so easily blend in different genres together. So this album, there was like a bit of like hip hop, but there was also some pop, and then there was psychedelic vibes. And how do you approach putting all this together? Like how, like it, but it sounds so good. So just like, how do you even approach this?
I don't know. It just comes out of my soul. It's all about the feeling, I think, and it comes out. I think I also have a lot of like influences from music wisely, with which music I grew up, what I also listened, which was like forming myself and my soul. I don't know. I have also a really wide range of music I like, and it's really hard to just concentrate on, okay, I want to do just hip hop, or I want to do psychedelic. It's also sometimes a little bit tricky because I still need, or I still want that it's okay, not super crazy different, but I don't know, I can do it other. It's the only way I can do it. Yeah.
What's your favorite track on the album?
Good question. I think for me as well, The River, because it has this experimental vibe, and I put a lot of energy also in the production. There's also a lot of soul and a really personal and deep story. Aire I also like, Un Café. But I think, one of my most favorite tracks is also Aire and The River. It's not the one who are like the popular ones now, which are like...
They're my favorites, so...
That's why I think it's really cool. Really, it's a really pleasure that you tell me that the more underground titles of the album are your favorite tracks. It's, it's really nice to hear as well. Yeah.
Another question I had for you is, how do you balance, because you produce and you're also the artist? It's more common nowadays, but how do you like balance it? And does one role ever dominate the creative process? Do you know what I mean? Or how does that work?
Yeah, it's sometimes really tricky, and I'm still learning about this process, also how I can take better care about my mental health and everything, because sometimes it's super crazy, because I really, really like, it's one of the things I like the most is really to be in the studio and producing and creating. But then I also like to go outside and playing and be on tour, but it's hard to come from this state to another state. You know, it's nice to have the balance, because when I'm producing, then I'm also a lot by myself. And then I also enjoy like being on the road and with people, but then I also again need my space. So then it's the perfect time to go in the studio again. But still, you can't always choose what you want now to do or prefer to do. But for example, now is December, the tour is over, and I'm already back in the studio and creating new music. So I really enjoy this. And all around for all the artists now, it's all the tasks you have to do. Also with the social media, if you have no management, being your own manager. If you have no booking, book everything. So it's a lot to do. So I'm working a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm always curious how musicians, like when they know a track is like finished. So I have a few friends back home that also play, and like we would have jam sessions and stuff, and I feel like sometimes you can really get carried away with the song. So for you, like personally, like how do you know when you're like, okay, the track is done? I'm done, no more.
This is also a really good question. Sometimes it's super easy and it's super in the flow, and I know, okay, that's it. And then there are moments, okay, it can be, or I need to change something. And then I work on it more and more and more. And then sometimes it comes out that the first version was even better than like 1 week after, you know? So yeah, it depends. Sometimes it's super in the flow and you know already the first idea is the perfect one. Sometimes if you add too much, then you figure out, no, actually it was better before. And then really finding the end is like listen to it a lot of times, having some distance, some break, working on something different. Listen to it again after 1 week or something. And then if it really touches your heart and you feel something in your soul, then for me, then I can say, okay, it's cool. And then some also show to other people, hey, what do you think? But in the first line, it really also needs to touch my heart and soul. And if I have a feeling when I listen to it, then I know it's good. If I feel nothing, then I know, no, it's not finished.
When you started to create Trippy Moon, did you already have a concept in mind for the album, or did it kind of all just come together organically, you know?
It came together organically. I had some idea in the beginning, but in the end, a lot of demos. So normally there was the album would have been already like nearly finished, but then I came up with new experiences in life, and life was changing quickly, and so I had something to put out into music. And then suddenly some old demos were like just in the corner again, and the album changed. So yeah, the process changed in the end. Yeah.
It's crazy how close music is intertwined with whatever is happening in our lives, or how much of an influence it can have. I think it's also a beautiful thing, because then it makes the music more authentic and real, because it's coming from something that you've experienced or something that's happened. So that's super cool. So for maybe those that are listening to your album for the first time, is there anything that you would like them to take away from it, or any feelings that you hope they would take away from the album?
I hope that it can be like medicine for people out there, and that it's a good friend on travelings or like in good and bad times. This is what is the biggest compliment for me, if I know that it touches other people's souls and hearts and make days better.
Yeah.
And people can travel and take it on their life waves.
I do a lot of solo traveling randomly. So when I was listening to this album, I was like, this would be perfect for when I'm just like by myself in some city and I don't know anyone or anything. It's like, this would be the perfect, because I have like a few albums specifically for this.
Nice.
Another question I had for you, what would be some of like your dream collabs?
Collabs?
Like what would be like an ultimate dream collab for you? It can also be no one. Like that's also...
Okay. Wait, let me think. Okay, so it's totally different style of music, but one dream collab would be with Isio and Toro Sound. Do you know them?
I don't think so.
Like Spanish dub duo. It's really, I listen to them a lot those days, and they have a lot of new demos, and I think, wow, it would be so nice to do something with them. Yeah. I listen a lot. What also would be nice, Chancha via Circuito. Do you know?
Yeah, I know.
But I also, I listen to it a lot, and it also influences my music somehow. Yeah, wow.
Nice. So I was wondering, maybe, are there any final words that you want to leave your fans and listeners with?
I hope that you like Trippy Moon, and I hope it brings you joy and love, and I hope to see you somewhere at any of my shows, maybe upcoming spring. And yeah, good vibes to all of you.